peace must be our goal and our guide. And all that we strive for as a human family, dignity and hope, progress and prosperity, depends on peace. But peace depends on us.
Today, Kenya is faced with a dilemma. A dilemma caused by succession politics of 2022. A country beaten by forces of peace, unity, against forces of impunity, bad politics, and tribal politics. The good forces of peace, unity, national reconciliation, led by President Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta, want to live a united, prosperous, one person, one nation, one country called Kenya. The bad forces led by Deputy President William Ruto want to live a divided, broken, damaged, dismembered Kenya without unity of purpose. Kenya today stands at cliffhanger politics. A cliffhanger politics of Machiavellian nature, where at night we praise the devils. During the daytime, we praise the leaders. We go back at night, damage the leadership. That's where Kenya is today. Whichever divide you are, there is only one way out. One way out of this quagmire is to stick to a redemption strategy. Any conflict resolution expert on this panel, like Professor Onyari, will tell you the only way out to save this nation from sinking to the another chaos is to bring out the 9 points of the BBI. All of you know the 9 points of BBI. They touch national ethos, national bad elections. It is a cocktail of disaster that the two leaders saw that the four made them to shake hands and to bring it to the table. That for Kenya to conduct another election in this country without cleaning the national electoral mechanisms, the disaster will be worse than it was before. That for Kenya to go without national healing, reconciliation, accountability, restitution, reparation, truth-telling, forgiveness, we are staring at a disaster if we don't do a reconciliation now and never. It is now and never. Embarking on an early campaign has brought us to where we are. President Uhuru Kenyatta told people to concentrate on nation building. We abandoned the nation building ventures We have gone on personal crusade ventures. We have gone on the same path where we believe we glorify corruption and glorify many things that are not glorifiable. It is sad, therefore, for my people of Kenya. It is also a call to the people of Kenya. Either they choose to go with the redemption strategy or they perish. The choice remains the choice of the people of Kenya. If you want to go with a redemption strategy of Raila Odinga and Uhuru Kenyatta of uniting this nation, that so be it. If you want to go with obsession of 2022 politics, even when there is no referee, and even when there is no competitor, yet the choice is yours. But at the end of the day, the citizens of this country are tired. If you don't see the fatigue that has come amongst the citizens who are being used as wheelbarrow pushers, who are being used as machines that will break in a day and you don't have any spare part to repair it, but it was done for PR, it is up to you. Do you empower people to push a wheelbarrow, or you empower people with knowledge? During this COVID-19, Rwanda, as a country that was besieged by the same disease that we see here, the disease of a creation of a hustler versus a dynasty. It is not different from the disease of a Tutsi versus a Hutu. You are not seeing what I'm seeing. Oh ye Kenyans, believe me, believe in me. You are not seeing what I'm seeing. You have created a narrative of a hustler versus a dynasty. It is like a Tutsi versus a Hutu versus a Tutsi. Look ye ahead. Look ye ahead in the horizon and see what is coming in 2022. It will be the battle of those that you want to eliminate against those who will be defending themselves. If you don't take my notes here, I will carry my dust. As the Bible said, go away with my dust. Because I see, from my vision, I can see we are on a wrong path. We have about to cross the red line. We are creating sections. We are fragmenting a state. We are dismembering a state. We are creating hurtling. Our train is hurtling towards one word. And that one word is conflict. That one word, my panel, is conflict. We better stop the train hurtling towards conflict and stop it now. Thank you.
A very good morning to you. This is the People's Court. My name is Miriam Ogutu, and glad that you could find time to join us again. We had an earlier show there. We were looking at the newspapers review here, and we're looking at the 3 leading newspapers in Kenya. And of course, we looked at the progress President Uhuru Kenyatta has been making in line with the infrastructure. How much has he been able to achieve? And so right now, let's turn our attention to the BBI. Of course, it's a very important national conversation. And in case you're wondering why do we have to keep talking about this, because it is important for this country. So we shall continue talking about it and enlightening Kenyans on what is in this BBI, so that when it comes to a point where they have to go out there and vote, then they will be voting based on information, see your propaganda. All right, so thank you so much. And our topic for today is It's All System Go for constitutional amendments. And that is what we are going to look at today. Before I bring in my panelists this morning, it's what formed the basis of all the three leading newspapers this morning. The Star newspaper captured that fresh BBI changes, Raila caught off guard. Absent Ruto tweeted that signatures launch did not close the door to consensus building. The story is on page 4 and 5 of the Star newspaper. And we will go through those new changes on the BBI report. And on the Standard newspaper, let the people decide. Race begins. President Uhuru Kenyatta and ODM leader Raila Odinga kick off process to review the 2010 Constitution, a signed bill proposing radical changes to the Supreme Law. The story is on page 6 and 7 of the Standard newspaper. And on the Daily Nation, the headline was Game On, the sweet deals, a bag of goodies for the political class, revised proposals on the Police and Electoral Commission, fatter budgetary allocations to the counties, and 20 more constituencies for the vast Rift Valley. President Kenyatta and ODM leader Odinga are on a wooing spree for the BBI, but is it all hunky-dory in paradise? And the page is on page 4 of the Daily Nation. So I shall be looking at those stories and see how they've captured the events yesterday during the launch of the signature collection there that was led by President Uhuru Kenyatta and opposition leader, or rather his handshake brother, opposition leader Raila Odinga. So let's just start with this story on the Standard newspaper. Page 7, Ruto, I was not invited to the event. Deputy President William Ruto said that he was not invited to yesterday's launch of the signature collection for the Building Bridges Initiative proposals to amending the Constitution. Ruto spent his day at his office residence watching on TV as his boss, President Uhuru Kenyatta, and Orange Democratic leader Raila Odinga led the country in taking the important step towards a national referendum at Kenyatta International Convention Center. Ruto was not invited to the event. If anybody claims to have invited him, let him show you the invitation letter, said the Deputy President's spokesperson Emmanuel Talam. Now, the program and the signature collection launch at the Kenyatta International Conference Center, they're confused as well as I am confused. The first they said convention and now conference. I still cannot get the convention right in my head because we're used to for a very long time saying Kenyatta International Conference Center. I did not have Ruto's name, the program now. Now, instead, the program indicated the meeting would end with Raila inviting the president to give the final speech before the national launch of BBI signature collection exercise. But Ruto yesterday said there was still room to have a conversation and agree on contentious issues. Even with the signature launch, there is still a real chance to consensus for a non-divisive referendum that will give Kenyans the opportunity to express themselves without an us versus them, win versus lose contest. Unity is the strength needed to fight COVID-19 and organize the economy, Ruto tweeted hours after the event. So let's just start there. And Kenyans, I don't know, are you surprised that Deputy President, all right, I need to introduce my panelists first. Douglas Kirimi from Meru, good morning.
Good morning, Miriam from Meru. It's a bit chilly, and good morning to my other panelists led by Sean Wasonga. And our viewers across the world, good morning, good afternoon, good evening from wherever you're watching us from.
All right, and also joined by Daniel Wasonga from Nairobi. Daniel, good morning.
Yes, a very, very good morning, Miriam Moguto at our headquarters in Nairobi. Our viewers here in Kenya, good morning. The rest in Africa, good morning. And the rest of the world, good afternoon, good evening, depending on where they are watching us from, Miriam. Good morning.
All right, and we're joined by Jevan Karanja from Nanyuki. Jevan, good morning to you.
Good morning, Miriam. Good morning to our viewers, wherever they are watching us from. And there's a very good morning here in Nanyuki. It's quite sunny, and we are doing well. Thank you.
All right, Javen, you really must have missed that sun. In the morning, you also allowed the sun shine there this morning. It must have been very cold in the last few days.
It has been cold here, Miriam.
I understand.
And now we are seeing as if we have a holiday here because
all right,
we have been experiencing a lot of rainy seasons and so on.
So summer just arrived in Nanyuki. All right, very well. Even in Nairobi, it's a beautiful sunny day today, and we thank God for that. So perhaps I'll just start with you, Javen Karanja. Are you surprised that the deputy president was not there? I don't know if he was invited or he was not invited, but his communications director, Emmanuel Talami, is saying he was not invited in that event. Are we surprised that he was not present? Are you surprised?
No, I was not surprised because that is something that I quite anticipated, that he might miss the event. Going to the event that we had, the launch of the BBI, he was quite not in the mood to support the document. And he really brought a lot of issues that were contrary to what was happening in the bombers of Kenya at that time. Therefore, I think even for the organizers of the event, they were not quite maybe willingly to let him in, because he could have brought the same issues, because Miriam, as you understand, the concerns that he had then have not been incorporated in the document. Therefore, Miriam, it was not a surprise. And Miriam, number two thing, apart from all that thing, he has not been supporting the process. And therefore, it was quite out of his way to go there and sit down there to see the signature being launched, Miriam. And Miriam, he could not have come out of that place without appending his signature. And I thought for him as a wise politician, he knew he could amend his signature, because after president, then the former prime minister, then it could be him to append his signature. And if he did that, it could have sent a very wrong message even to his supporters, that the deputy president, is supporting the document that he has been fighting throughout. Therefore, Miriam, to me, I feel like he did a very wise thing for his side and for his principles and what he stands for. And at that moment was not for him, it was for the people who support and who are in the tone of reconciliation and through the BBI process. Mm-hmm. And Miriam, I feel like he'll go to oppose the process. And I saw yesterday, immediately from his tweet and a Facebook page, he's saying that he is optimistic that there will be a room for consensus, Miriam. But what I feel like, the train has already left the station, and the wheels are rolling towards a destination of a referendum. And I feel like he will be going for a no campaign, or he stays silent. Miriam, is not a must that he oppose. He can just decide to stay and not to alter any word. But from what I saw from a tweet that was later deleted by the Nairobi nominated Senator Millicent Omanga, who is quite a supporter of a deputy president, immediately after the launch, he was in Twitter saying that he really supports the document because some of the concerns that she had as a person have been taken into concern.
So let me just cut you there, and I want to understand that. I'm not very active on social media, which is weird. So you're saying Millicent Omanga, the nominated senator for Nairobi, tweeted that she is supporting the BBI, and then she deleted that tweet, or what are you saying?
That tweet, after some minutes, it disappeared. I think she deleted, and I think this was from some forces, because Miriam, as a supporter of the deputy president, then you come out in limelight and say that you support the document because of the few amendments that she thought were done in the document that was quite in support of. I think he could contradict it, and people, especially us on social media and other quarters, could have started reading like the deputy president is in support of the process or the document. Therefore, that is why I feel she deleted the post, so that it will not create a lot of confusion or kind of create an environment where people might start anticipating issues that are not there.
All right.
And for me, I feel like the deputy president, as it stands now, and all those people who are calling for consensus, not only the deputy president, I think they are warming up for go to a no campaign. But I feel like the deputy president, in his own understanding, might decide not to be the front leader of the no campaign. He might just decide to stay a bit reluctant, so that he will not be seen as the one who is driving the force, and he might get someone else to do that on his behalf, and that is only my anticipation from a political point of view.
All right. Thank you so much, Ujaman Karanja there from Nanyuki. Let's see how the Daily Nation captured that. Somewhere there are signs of the times. Was it a root or no show? They put that in quotes. Or root or no invite for KICC extravaganza. Missing in action, tongues got wagging yesterday after Deputy President Ruto skipped the BBI signature collection launch event in Nairobi yesterday. On Twitter, he hoped for consensus, but it appears there's no room for him aboard BBI Express. Why is it a big deal that Deputy President did not attend the signature launch of the BBI yesterday? Daniel.
Yes, Miriam, the Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya is also the Deputy Party Leader of the Jubilee Party. And as a party, Jubilee has always had a stance through its party leader, through its other leadership organ, especially the chairman, the vice chair, and the secretary general, that it is in full support of the handshake and it is in full support as well of the BBI report. Therefore, as a party, when everyone else convened at the KICC yesterday, he had the obligation of joining other party members and especially his boss in supporting this agenda. And when you look at the BBI report, Miriam, it is majorly not even a party a document of the party or maybe of a few politicians. This is a people-driven document, and that is why even the government of Kenya has a bigger stake in it. And the other day you had the president and also the cabinet secretaries and other senior civil servants affirming their support for the document and promising to go into the grassroots to ensure that this document is popularized to the masses of this country. Number two, Miriam, we have a new conversation in our midst. We have a new page of history being written. And that is a page of unity, a page of coming together, a page of chatting about common prosperity for the people of this country. And that kind of conversation undoubtedly will always influence a paradigm shift in the political realignments. And in such kind of talk, Miriam, now I'm speaking from the political perspective point of view, I believe that you are not to be invited to such occasions. We had yesterday Musalia Mudavadi present. We had Kalonzo Musyoka through his representative Farah Maalim being present. We had Moses Wetangula being present. We had Wafula Mnyinyi being present. And we had the ODM party members being present. And I believe even the rest of the political players who were yesterday present at the KICC were not there by the virtue of invitations, but they knew as leaders, as citizens, they had a civic right of being there and making sure that they champion for this kind of particular cause to ensure that it comes to fruition at the end of the day. So therefore, if the Deputy President did not attend the BBI report, it was under his own volition, and perhaps he felt that it was not appropriate, depending on the reservation that he holds against the BBI report, to attend such a particular occasion. Mm-hmm. And therefore, he cannot blame it on the conveners of the meeting that they did not send an invitation. I believe that political engagements are not a wedding or a funeral where you go there by invitation. You have to go there because you share a common agenda. You have to go there because you believe in the ideas that are being discussed there. You have to go there so that you bring forces together and you join hands in championing for that particular cause. Mm-hmm. So that is why perhaps, Miriam, it's very baffling that the president and the deputy president, the two who are very much like Siamese twins when it comes to the Jubilee agenda and also party matters. We expected that if the president is going there to back the BBI signature launch, then the deputy also will be there, because first of all, he's the deputy party leader, and secondly, he's also the deputy president of this country. And of course, the president supports the BBI report, mm-hmm. The government supports the BBI report, and therefore it was it is actually a show of let's say rebellion against his boss when he doesn't show up in such occasions, Miriam.
Right.
And I think As it is right now, the deputy president and his allies are preparing to champion the no campaign. And as Javan said, if he won't be able to come out openly to champion for no campaign for the reasons so well known, only known to him, he will have some people who will do it on his behalf. And we have already seen the signs. We have seen rearrangements happening in his camp. We have seen the former Mombasa senator. We have seen activists such as Boniface Mwangi. We have seen Giuliani. We have seen people like Kivuta Kibwana, Martha Karua regrouping. And according to what Ahmed Nasir, a close ally of Deputy President, Councillor Ahmed Nasir, said that the Deputy President might not oppose the BBI report, but he will delegate the duties to the likes of Karua, the likes of Kivuta Kibwana, and Hassan Omar and the civil society and maybe the clergy. Okay. So that is what we are expecting to see him do, because as it is right now,
yes,
he might not be in a position to launch an onslaught.
All right, so on page 7.
Against
the BBI report. All right, thank you so much, Daniel Wesonga. So we are looking at the Standard newspaper and the Daily Nation. And funny enough, both stories are on page 6 and 7 of both papers. So let's just turn to the Daily Nation there. And Douglas, it says, yesterday's launch of the BBI signature collection drive by President Uhuru Kenyatta and ODM leader Raila Odinga in the absence of Deputy President William Ruto was the final confirmation that the search for consensus had collapsed. Just before we get into some of the changes that were put there on the BBI, now the reality, however, is that a publication of the constitutional amendment bill and launch of the signature drive means that the door has been closed on any changes to the document. Consensus, remember, Deputy President even yesterday tweeted calling for consensus, but according to this article here, they say consensus in such circumstances can only come about if the opposing side does an about turn and accepts a fait accompli, or if the published bill is withdrawn and then published afresh once an accord is struck. Dr. Ruto's tweet, however, reflects a clever strategy. Perception was that he was perennial naysayer when it came to agitation for reform, but he has managed to transform himself into the one willing to dialogue and reach accommodation while projecting the Uhuru Raila team as the stubborn grouping out to bulldoze its way through. This transformation or perceived transformation, or this a strategy that the Daily Nation is calling a very clever strategy, do you think it's working for DP Ruto anymore? Douglas?
Yes, the last part, Miriam.
The last part says, Dr. Ruto's tweet, however, reflects a clever strategy. Perception was that he was perennial naysayer when it came to agitation for reform, but he has managed to transform himself into one willing to dialogue and reach accommodation while projecting the Uhuru Raila team as the stubborn grouping out to bulldoze its way through. Do you think this perception is selling very well for Deputy President William Ruto? Is it working, the strategy?
No. The Deputy President does not support the BBI process, doesn't support the amendments, doesn't support anything. What the Deputy President is doing today is sabotaging what is happening. And, you know, he has told his followers that this amendment, the BBI report, will not see the light of the day. There is no woman in Kalmagut or in Timene village or in Meru or anywhere that knows that the BBI amendment will go through or a referendum will happen. They said they are going to stop reggae. And you've seen that excitement from when the Deputy President wanted to State House on another mission. And the President denied itself yesterday. He said the only people who had something crucial to say and something important to say are the, I didn't know if you listened to that. He said, the group, he met many groups. The only group that had something sensible to say was the Crutch. We've seen lack of goodwill from the Deputy President's side. We've seen his friends. If he meets you today, tomorrow you take a picture with the civil society. There are people, and remember, as a normal was in the civil society before, his bosom body nowadays. They move around and everything. There's nothing reformist and there's nothing reformist about the Deputy President. What the Deputy President is doing, including with that tweet, is to show Kenyans that these people are stubborn and all that, but still it won't work because the BBI train has already left the station and the deputy president is left aloof without anything tangible to tell his followers.
All right.
Because the followers believe that the deputy president has the capacity to stop the president of the Republic of Kenya and the Right Honorable Raila Odinga from helping Kenyans have constitutional changes that are going to impact generations to come. Remember, the same deputy president, Miriam, never supported the constitution in 2010 that has brought governors, that has brought counties, that has brought devolution, that has transformed this country. The deputy president wanted an imperial constitution in 2010. He wanted the status quo remain. So the deputy president is not a reformer. The deputy president is a saboteur who doesn't believe in the BBI process. For example, yesterday we saw leading leaders in this country went to append their signature, including Gideon Moi, who I haven't seen a national event for quite some time. He appended his signature on the BBI amendment bill. Why? Because he believes Kenya needs to move forward. The deputy president and his people doesn't believe Kenya needs to move forward.
But the fact that he tweeted, the fact that he was not present in that, he was not present in that launch, and we did not see his name in the program. I think for obvious reasons, after what happened at the Bomas, I think it will be. Maybe I don't know the organizers. I don't know if he was invited or not. State House has not confirmed that.
There was a seat that was left specifically near the president.
Oh, for him. So we are assuming that was for him. So the fact that he did not attend this meeting, and we're saying we don't know whether he was invited or not, but he that means after he tweeted, that means he was really following keenly this event. Does that goes to show this is a man who maybe is so undecided right now? He really wants to be part of it, and maybe after all these things he's been saying and bashing the whole process, now he does not even know what to really do. Because if you don't care so much about something, you will not even bother to let people know that you're concerned. So he kept asking for consensus yesterday. Is this a man trying to reach out who perhaps is, or he's just continuing with his new strategy of looking like he's the one who's ready for consensus to talk, but Huru and his handshake brother are the ones who are hot-headed?
Miriam, let me bring you to on a first account of who the deputy president is. The deputy president is a person who has sponsored people to move across this nation since 15th of March 2020 when the coronavirus hit Nairobi. He's moved telling people this coronavirus is a scam that has been used to stop the deputy president from campaigning and giving to churches.
Yeah.
We've seen the same man change tact at the last minute and say coronavirus is in Kenya, we need to put resources together there and stop everything and support coronavirus pandemic. We've seen him change from what he had believed before. And this is a man who consumes, like the president was saying, who consumes intelligence reports from top organs in this country. This is a deputy president elected in the country. And he was saying coronavirus is not in Nairobi. I don't know if he was dancing on the graves of those that died because of coronavirus when he said, and his allies were also saying coronavirus is a scam. The same man that is calling for consensus today, Miriam, said BBI, including the signature correction, will not see the light of the day. So we need to see the deputy president for who he is. He is a politician that has morphed into a good hypocrite, because the president keeps saying, including yesterday, that he informs the deputy president of every happening across the BBI process. And he appointed Major Seim, I think a man by the name Matundra, and Agnes Kavindu, the wife of former Machakos senator. So this is a man with no clear strategy on how he is going to counter the wave of BBI. And he knows if this thing is going to happen, his followers will see him as a roof. So the call for consensus and all that is a front that he is using to show his followers that he is doing something about it, whereas he's doing nothing.
All right.
Yesterday, the seat that was put there by the organizers of the signature correction, it was just in case he comes in like he is used to.
All right, thank you, Douglas. So now let's see some of the contentious issues in draft report, saying it has been dropped. I'm reading from the Standard newspaper, page 6 there, and it says concerns just down there, the third stanza. Concerns raised by Deputy President William Ruto and his allies, constitutional experts and religious leaders on selection of independent electoral and boundaries commission officials by political parties have been deleted. So that has been changed. The proposed establishment of the National Police Council and the Independent Policing Oversight Commission and the elevation of Nairobi City County to special status has also been dropped. So those are some of the things that Deputy President, the church, and other section of people who are opposed to the BBI, these are some of the things that they addressed. So those are two things that perhaps the BBI team and President Uhuru Kenyatta and Raila Odinga, they had. So that has been changed. And also, while the judicial ombudsman will now be nominated by the president, so that has not changed, but now he will not be nominated by the president. Vetting and approval will be done by the Senate. The judicial ombudsman will now be nominated by the president. The president will nominate this person, but the vetting and approval will be done by the Senate. He or she will be an ex-official of the Judicial Service Commission. And on the composition of the cabinet, the bill introduces a new requirement under Article 153 Cap A of the Kenyan Constitution that says the president may appoint not fewer than 14 and not more than 22 deputy ministers. It also provides that a deputy minister may be appointed from among members of the National Assembly. All right. Well, Article 107, Cap A stipulates that a person shall not assume the office of the leader of the official opposition if the Prime Minister is appointed from the person's political party or coalition of parties. The bill spells out the order of procedure with the Speaker, the leader of the majority, the leader of the minority party in that order. So let's not get into that too much, but let's just get at the changes point by point here. The first one, IEBC commissioners to be selected by a component selection panel, not political parties. So that was a bone of contentions. The church brought that up. DP Ruto brought that up when he was during that time of the second launch of the BBI, the second draft report at Bomas of Kenya there. So this part has been, the changes has been made here.
Yes.
Javan, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you very much, Miriam. And this is something that was quite contentious, and we have spoken about it. And if they feel like having a panel to do that kind of nomination or selection of IBC commissioners, then it is good. But Miriam, who will appoint these people who will do that kind of, who will form that group of experts who will be nominating or looking and vetting those people to elect the commissioners? Miriam, you'll find at the end of the day, the politicians will have a bigger say in who will sit on that panel and selection panel of the IBC commissioners. Therefore, Miriam, I feel like even on those changes that were made yesterday on the BBI document, they are not quite significant. Nothing much is changing on the original document. These are minor changes, and this is what we used to say that even if we have any change, let it not be on the core issues of the BBI, because anything to do with the IBC, it can be done anyway. Even the church can nominate the IBC commissioners, provided at the end of the day, we'll have equality and credibility into our election. That is the end product that we are looking for. We don't care who will select these commissioners. What Kenyans want is credibility into our election. Therefore, it might come from even from any quarter of this country who will sit down their expert and select. But what they should guarantee Kenyans is a free, fair, and transparency in our election. That is the end product. And therefore, Miriam, I don't feel there's big things that have changed, because at the end of the day, the politicians will have a say in who sits on that committee, will select the nominee, the commissioners. And Miriam, on the issue of the police, that I think was the second part. And I feel like if they are talking of having, the BBA was proposing to have a national police council that should be held by the cabinet secretary for interior, security and coordination. And what now they are saying, it should remain as it is a police commission. as is enshrined in our constitution under the independent institutions that we have. Therefore, Miriam, under Miriam, you'll see that even now, the same people who are talking and who had an issue with the National Police Council, they have been in front line of telling us how Dr. Freddy Matiang'i is using police in his favor and to undermine those people who was perceived to support the deputy president. Therefore, Miriam, at the end of the day, we will not lack politicians who will blame the executive of intimidations. Therefore, Miriam, whether the police are under IG, whether they are under the parliament or whether they are under the county government, Miriam, at the end of the day, the people who will be on the opposition and the people who maybe want to paint the government in bad picture, they will say on saying how the government is using the police to arrest innocently the people who are perceived to be in opposition the government agenda. We have seen the same people say that the government, when we had the contentious revenue sharing formula, we saw what was happening in the likes of Senator Malala and his counterpart from Samburu. Therefore, Miriam, at the end of the day, the police will be the person who is the interior minister for security and coordination will have now, and the opposition used to complain prior to 2017 election that the government is using police. Therefore, Miriam, at the end of the day, we will not restrain the government of the day to use the police in their favor, whether we have a national commission, whether we have a national council. Miriam, the point is the occupant of the office. If we have an occupant in the office of presidency or in the county government, who does not believe in the constitutionalism, who does not believe in the rule of law, he will misuse the police, he will misuse everything else. Because Miriam, at the end of the day, he has the power, he has the state machinery. That is why I bear and I take the load of having good leaders to the electorates. Because Miriam, we have a good document called BBI. But Miriam, if we fail to have the good people of integrity and honest to implement the document, we may be going back to the old mess that we have been previously, even before to our independence.
Okay, thank you so much. Now, Daniel, apart from the IEBC commissioners to be selected by a component selection panel, not political parties, that is one of the changes there, and the key things that even our deputy president, the church leaders, and others had pointed out they were uncomfortable with. The next change on yesterday, the new BBI change that was launched yesterday for the signature, launching yesterday. Nairobi City County to retain its status, not elevated, because Nairobi, according to the BBI, the initial opinion from Kenyans was to give Nairobi a special status, but that has been changed. So Nairobi City Council to retain its status, not elevated. And then the third issue there that was changed is now 70 top up seats for women squashed, now single constituencies. So because there were calls for Kenyans, section of Kenyans were criticizing the increased number there of members of parliament, the bloated parliament, but now they're saying, according to the new changes in the BBI, the 70 top up seats for women squashed, now single constituencies. So address those three issues, Daniel.
Yeah, first and foremost, Miriam, I would like to say that these are very good touches on the document, fine-tuning to ensure that at the end of the day, the document really resonates well with the people of Kenya, because those are the main stakeholders in this BBI process. And let me start with the Nairobi County. I believe each and every Kenyan, especially those who dwell in the city, are so much alive and aware of whatever is happening in Nairobi under Major General Abdallah Mohamed Badi. Previously, Nairobi had been neglected under the leadership of Governor Mike Mbuvi Sonko, his predecessor, Evans Kidero. And of course, it was a very, very genuine concern and a worry amongst each and every city dweller that we needed a very radical change in leadership around City Hall to ensure that Nairobi receive facelift, Nairobians receive very timely services. And that has been forthcoming under the leadership of NMS. And therefore, that is why perhaps the earlier BBI had recommended a new status of Nairobi County to be under the national government. But now that it has been reversed and the status to remain as it is under the county government of Nairobi, we have to make sure also as voters that we play our civic duty of ensuring that we elect responsible leaders. We respect leaders who are above the bar when it comes to service delivery, when it comes to integrity, and when it comes to commitment to deliver services to Kenyans. So that is something that we need to look at. So in essence, we have been given the ball on our court. As voters, we have to play our part and ensure that never again shall we put Nairobi County in the hands of incompetent leaders who are only pushed by the motivation to enrich themselves and loot our county coffers dry. So that is a ball on our court, and we have to make sure that we play it quite auspiciously. Number two, on the issue of representation, I believe Kenyans feel that maybe expanded wage bill is quite a burden owing to the fact that they're the taxpayers. And with the reduction of number of MPs that had been recommended in the earlier report, comes on with a sigh of relief to the taxpayers. It is a manageable number in as much as we also look at the two-thirds threshold. So I believe these are good recommendations, Miriam, and at the end of the day, they'll serve the interests of the people of Kenya. And as I always keep on saying, these are people-driven document. It is not there to enrich politicians. It is there to enrich the government of the day. Neither is it there to enrich the two principals, Raila Odinga and Uhuru Kenyatta. So any recommendation that has been included in the report, I believe it's a recommendation which resonates well with the people of Kenya, and it's so much welcome. We shall support the document as it is. And that is why perhaps we say that at least for now, and even the president said yesterday, those were the only pressing matters that needed to be included in the BBI report. Mm-hmm. And for now, as it is right now, I think the document is good and we should forge forward, Miriam.
All right, thank you so much. And of course, other issues that were changed in that report yesterday is the National Police Council proposal was dropped. The National Police Oversight Commission was dropped. The National Oversight Authority retained. Okay, Douglas.
Yes, Miriam.
Yes, some of the issues are the changes, the issues that the Deputy President and the Church and other people had raised seems to have been addressed here in the new changes that we saw yesterday. And one of them was the National Police Council proposal that was dropped. The National Police Oversight Commission, also that was proposed in the BBI, that was dropped. And the National Oversight Authority was retained. And also the Judicial Ombudsman to be nominated and vetted by Senate, and he will be sitting in the JSC as an ex-officio. All right, and also county assemblies to be primary oversight over governors and deputy governors. But let's just look at those two, some of those things that and issues that DP Ruto had brought up, and President Uhuru Kenyatta seems to have listened, and Raila Odinga and the team there in the BBI steering committee, and so those issues were addressed. So the National Police Council proposal was dropped because Deputy President had a problem with that. The National Police Oversight Commission also was dropped, and also the National Oversight Authority that was retained, but the Judicial Ombudsman, because people are saying, a section of Kenyans were saying, and our political leaders, that will affect the independence of our judiciary. And so, but the Judicial Ombudsman still stays, but he'll be nominated and vetted by Senate, and he will be sitting in JSC as an ex-official. Is that enough a piece for the people who had problems with those articles in the proposed BBI changes?
Yes, Miriam, because at the end of the day, you cannot have everything. Remember, we were earlier on the morning breakfast show, we were discussing about those readers who would want everything for themselves and nothing for others. And we were saying that at a time, every time when something is happening, you can only have so much. You can't have everything. But at the end of the day, we need to also see their views have been captured in the BBI report, and the same people cannot be appeased their views have been taken into account, but the same people are even calling for more consensus. Which more consensus than their views being captured in the BBI report? Mm-hmm. And again, we have structural and also legislative ways of having these things brought back again, because the will of Kenyans is that that is what they had wished to have in the BBI amendment, or also a referendum, and also putting it into the constitution. But I believe 90% or 80%, the people that were calling for a consensus are appeased, and their issues are also being captured in the BBI report, because for over 2 years they moved across this nation without taking those issues to the commission. But I also believe that the task force and also the BBI secretariat and also the president and his brother, and the Sheikh brother, have also been so lenient and also been so considerate, bearing in mind these are also Kenyans, and Kenya is a democratic country. They have captured their issues. And also, I now tend to believe that the deputy president should also stop now calling for a consensus and also come to the yes camp. Those people that he has sponsored to oppose the BBI report should also call them off, so that we can be able to move forward as a nation, Miriam. Mm-hmm. Because honestly, there are issues that have been captured, but we can't take everything into account that they have brought on board, including us. There are issues that we took as a community. Mm-hmm. They are not all captured in the BBI report. Even the deputy president should make a compromise now. His issues, some of them have also been captured, and us, some of our issues. There are people who took their issues to the BBI. We should be very grateful.
All right.
To the BBI
that a lot of the issues he brought up actually have been captured, literally. I think he had about, 5 or 6 points that he had issues with. And when you read through, about 4 or 5 of those have been captured. But I know one of the key things that he had a problem with was the expanded executive that sought to address the issue of inclusivity in government, and that was not touched. And I think the principles there say that some of the things that will remain the same, and that was one of the key things, but also that was the key things that Deputy President had a problem with. Javen, as Douglas there has said, perhaps Deputy President should perhaps now learn to compromise, as a lot of the things that he had raised there seems to have been included in the new changes there that we are now seeing in the proposed BBI report. But the expanded executive was not touched. Will he be okay?
I don't feel like he will be okay, because most of the time, the issues that the people and the teams that William Ruto supports, they had an issue with expanded executive. And they have been saying that that was a way of creating a position for the former Prime Minister. And to some extent, they went further to say that the president was not heading anywhere. And that was a way of bringing President Uhuru Kenyatta back to the office after his retirement in 2022. Therefore, Miriam, I feel like, yes, they had issues. And Miriam, I agree. This process is all inclusive, because now we have tried, even after the window of presenting our proposals to the validation steering committee, we still have a process where some issues have been included, like of that of National Police Council, the IBC, and so on. Therefore, Miriam, on the onset, and these people are proving that this document has been all inclusive, and that is what is happening. And Miriam, I feel like on the issue of expanded executive, that is where we have the contentious issue in our matters election in this country. And Miriam, if we have altered that, that is when I feel like the deputy president could have supported. But as it is now, I feel like he will continue opposing the document and calling for more consensus meetings and so on. But Miriam, as it stands now, the BBI is being even made better. But as I said earlier, I don't feel like those changes are making any big difference at the end of the day, because they're only trying to polish 1 or 2, 3 things, and to some extent even changing the grammar to make it sound better. Therefore, Miriam, I feel like it's a good document as it is now. And Miriam, if they try to change the matter of shared prosperity and the inclusivity issue, then the meaning of the BBI could have been lost, because it is anchored on the issue of bringing Kenyans together. Mm-hmm. And when you alter the issue of inclusivity, then the meaning and the purpose of the BBI at the end, mm-hmm, was to bring Kenyans together. And it is through the expanded executive that will have that look of national outlook in our executive and the higher table. Mm-hmm. And if we alter that one, Miriam, the original taste of the BBI will be altered. Mm-hmm. And now people will have to say this document is not good. And as it is now, Miriam, if we want to achieve inclusivity, then that is the way to go, to have an expanded executive. And I feel like the president and the experts in their knowledge understood that if they do that, then it will lose the meaning. And Miriam, the BBI is not about pleasing anybody. This BBI is for Kenyans. And if you feel it's not good for you, the best you can go as a democratic Kenya and a patriot Kenya is to go and vote no. And you feel this document is good for you, you go and vote yes. At the end of the day, we are a democratic state, and those people who have the numbers will carry the day, and those who Kenyans will support will carry the day. Therefore, there's nothing to worry about whether the DP supports or does not support. At the end of the day, Kenyans will make their decision and determination on what they want their country to look like, because this country is not a private entity that is owned by politicians. It belongs to everybody. Yeah, thank you.
All right, thank you so much. And Daniel, I want to take us back to something that we already looked at in these new changes that now we are seeing here, and a lot of it, those are issues that Deputy President had brought up, and we've seen that they have actually been factored in. I know the president and Raila had initially, especially Raila, had initially came out and said, well, that door is closed. What we're going to do now is just correct a few things, grammatical, errors, and just to make some things a bit clear. But we've seen clearly there has been some changes that were made about the IEBC commissioners, which is one of the issues that our deputy president had raised there. Of course, we've seen somebody like Senator Sakaja earlier tweeting about Nairobi's status to remain, and we've seen that Nairobi city county will retain its status and will not be elevated on a special status as it was proposed there in the BBI. And others, the National Police Council. These are things that the Judicial Ombudsman, a lot of the issues, the majority of the issues he had raised, I think have been addressed there. So now, when we go back to this article earlier, we were reading on page 7 of the Daily Nation, that says DP Ruto's tweet, however, reflects a clever strategy. Perception was that he was perennial naysayer when it came to agitation for reform, but he has managed to transform himself into the one willing to dialogue and reach accommodation while projecting the Uhuru Raila team as the stubborn grouping out to bulldoze its way through. Has President Uhuru Kenyatta and Raila Odinga beat him at his own game, because they actually accommodated some of the changes he wanted? So now what strategy will he perhaps take if we were to go with this story from the Daily Nation?
Miriam, first of all, the truth comes out as clear as day and night. It tells you that one team is genuine, it's very true, and it has the interest of the people at heart. That is the group of President Uhuru Kenyatta and the former Prime Minister Raila Odinga, because he called for consensus. He raised issues that he was having problems with. These issues have been addressed. On the other end, it gives you a team which is marred by hypocrisy, a team which is not true to itself, neither is it true to the people of Kenya or the leadership of this country, a team which has a protracted, which has promised a protracted war against the BBI report. And let me tell you for a fact, Miriam, you can be quite certain that the Deputy President is not interested in the BBI report. He has never been. In fact, from the onset, before even reading the content of the BBI report, he said he's not interested in a debate that involves sharing of seats, a debate that only talks about sharing power, and a debate which involves rich people and not the citizens of this country. So that tells you that this is a man who was not interested in the BBI report from the onset. And therefore, whatever he's doing is just delay tactics. He's playing the ping-pong games of hiding, coming out one day saying this, another day throwing this tantrum, so that at the end of the day, he keeps those who are proponents of the BBI in a very, very disorganized kind of situation, so that the BBI report does not see the light of the day. And that is a strategy when it comes to war and even in politics, just keeping your opponent busy chasing shadows. And that is why the Deputy President, of course, we expected that once some of these contentious issues are addressed, he'll come out quite prudently, like Musalia Mudavadi did, and tell his supporters, I had issues with these particular views in BBI report, and henceforth, since they've been addressed, now I'm going to support the report. That is what Musalia Mudavadi did yesterday. Mm-hmm. And we saw his supporters that are coming out quite satisfactorily supporting the BBI. But the deputy president now, since whatever issues that he was having with the reporter have been addressed, he's now looking for another excuse not to be in the same, stand in the same pew with the President Uhuru Kenyatta and the former Prime Minister. So therefore, Miriam, this tells you that this is not a man who is not after supporting the BBI report, but he's rather after launching a very protracted war against the BBI report. He's after wasting time. He's after getting this whole bogged into push and pull and disorienting the entire process. So to me, I think he lacks goodwill. He lacks even genuineness in supporting the BBI report, and he's not interested even a single bit his entire thing. So waiting upon him to maybe come to a consensus with the two principles will be akin to waiting for the second coming of the Messiah, Miriam.
Thank you so much. So, Douglas, we've seen that the issues that Deputy President raised, the church raised, and other sections of Kenyans raised, the civil society. Some of them had a problem with a few articles that were contained in the BBI. We've seen there has been some changes on those articles there. So now, are we likely to see, because Deputy President was watching, we are told, from the comfort of his official residence there in Karen, and he was watching the proceedings there of the BBI. So I'm sure he must have seen the changes that were made in the BBI report, but still he went ahead to tweet. There's still more room for consensus there, but we see the BBI team had already conceded on a few issues that initially they're taking a very hard stand on. Are we likely to see President Uhuru Kenyatta and Raila and the BBI team further concede, bend over backwards, or what are we likely to see happening moving forward as we conclude the show?
Miriam, I like what Sean has brought out now. He has demolished the tower of Babel that the Deputy President had built around the whole issue of inclusivity and also having other people's views captured. Remember, Miriam, for over 2 years, the BBI task force has been moving across the country, and they corrected the views in our town hall in Meru. And some of the issues that we raised there are not captured there, but some are captured. Now, the president and the Right Honorable Raila Odinga had beaten the deputy president out of the game. Another thing that comes out very clear is that the deputy president wants to beat around the bush, like Sean has been saying, and everyone else has been saying. This guy has no goodwill. One thing that is preventing the president and the Right Honorable Raila Odinga from doing away with the deputy president is the most defiant deputy president that we have ever had in this country. Is the Constitution. Because this is the same person. Remember, the president had to go back to his speech and also irate, where he had accommodated the views of the clergy. They had an issue and they wanted it captured in the BBI report, and the president and to intervene even after crossing the window on that. He had said this thing should go direct. But these people visited him at the State House and told him, Mr. President, this is what we would want captured. And he captured it. And they have acknowledged it. We have not seen the religious people calling for a press conference and also opposing that thing. But the same deputy president is calling for a more consensus. Mr. Deputy President, which more consensus do you want more than that? In this country, we are all equal. Under the law, we are all equal. The only thing we have is titles and the offices that we respect so much, the president, the deputy, and even the opposition. We respect those people and MPs. But under the law, we are all equal. This process was brought by two Kenyans, peace-loving and leaders of this country. And then they told Kenyans, can you give your views on what else do you want under in the Constitution? They brought the 9-point agenda. And then the population in the country, over 50 million Kenyans, gave their views on that. Do you want to tell us, Mr. Deputy President, that your views are better than our views as residents of this country? We are all equal under the law. One perspective that comes out, Miriam, is that the Deputy President wants to keep dragging feet so that the BBI process loses its meaning and it's overtaken by time and it becomes irrelevant until 2022 when we have an election to counter and do as a country. One thing that has come out very clearly is that Miriam, as I conclude on this point, is that the deputy president has no goodwill. He doesn't support BBI, and in all honest ways, he has gone across this country. He has funded meetings to oppose BBI. The last one was in Meru, Embu, and other places around Mount Kenya. He has gone telling people, we are opposing this thing. Do you want a BBI that creates seats for the bosses, or you want wheelbarrows that will bring from Karen? The people of Meru, Mr. Deputy President, are waiting for your wheelbarrows because you have told them to oppose the BBI and not to append their signatures on the BBI amendment bill. But the people of Kenya are wiser than that. You take your own views to the BBI task force, and they also accommodate them even after trashing them for over 2 years, Mr. Deputy President. Now, the people of Meru would also want those wheelbarrows that you had told them they are better than BBI, that is going to bring peace and also going to bring development and also going to make sure that no matter who is the deputy president or president is going to secure the prosperity and shared prosperities and peace for this nation. So Miriam, in conclusion, what I'm saying is that the man that was appointed deputy president in 2013, the man that was elected with Uhuru Kenyatta, is a very different man today, because the whole thing about him is opposing this thing. Miriam, you've seen the clergy hand their issues, including the BBI report. Yes. And the deputy president is not a commoner like I am. He is the deputy president of the Republic of Kenya. His views have been captured. He would have seen it before then. In the morning, he would wake up and say, now, bosses, I have come and I've changed my narrative. From the other hand, my views have been taken care of, but we can even change or bring another BBI report or process in the future. But the deputy president chose to read newspapers and watch TV from his office in Karen. Is that not defiance? Thank you.
Defiance. All right. Thank you so much, Douglas. Jevan, conclude for us. But before you do that, let me just also take us back to something we already looked at earlier, in line with what we talked about today on page 7 of the Daily Nation. That piece there of slim chance now for an uncontested vote as reggae plays on. The reality. What precedes that is the calls for Deputy President for consensus, but they continue to say that the reality, however, is that publication of the Constitutional Amendment Bill, which has been published, and launch of this signature drive, which happened yesterday, now means, that is according to the law, that means that the door has been closed on any changes to the document. Now, consensus in such circumstances can only come about if the opposing side, which is Deputy President, does an about-turn and accepts a fait accompli, or if the published bill is withdrawn and then published afresh once an accord is struck. So he only has two options. He joins the team. He says, oh, you know what, perhaps I had 6 problems, but I see you have been able to address 4, which is not bad. So I'll come in and join, and at least you've shown a goodwill. You listen to what I was saying. That is his first option. His second option is if the published bill is withdrawn, President Uhuru Kenyatta and his handshake brother withdraws the bill and then publish it afresh once an accord is struck. So ati we withdraw and then wakishasikizana na deputy president and then they do that. I don't know if that is even possible to happen right now. We've been having, I don't know. But Jevan, conclude that for us.
And thank you, Miriam. And as I conclude, let me say this. Miriam will not agree, all of us in the document, on the BBI document. It is impossible for the 50 million Kenyans to agree on the same document. Miriam, if we disagree in our homes with our siblings, Miriam, it's quite clear that we'll also disagree on political issues, especially here in Kenya, where we have a diverse community, where we have different and the generational gaps and so on. Therefore, we tend to disagree on everything that comes in this nation. And therefore, Miriam, that is why we have the rule of the people. And the Constitution says that the sovereignty of the Constitution belongs to the people of Kenya. And the people of Kenya are the only one who have a final say when it comes to matter amending their Constitution, because the Constitution will work for the people of Kenya. We are not looking for a Constitution that will work for politicians. No, we are looking for a Constitution that will make the livelihoods of people of Kenya better and a good moving forward. And Miriam, we will not, nobody is being forced to support the BBI process. Miriam, from the onset, William Ruto is a person who have not been in a call. He has not been positioned himself as a changer or a person who looks for revolutions. Therefore, it is quite clear that is who he is. And I don't feel, and that is why I say I'm not surprised that he is not supporting BBI, because that is where his principles are. And William, if there's something that you cannot change, and we say that where a man goes, he goes with his character. Miriam, if there's something that you cannot leave behind you, is your principles and your character. And that is who the deputy president is. And we should not create a lot of things. If we go unopposed, Miriam, is good. Because at the end of the day, if he wins, it's okay. Kenya will continue going on. And if he loses, he will continue being the deputy, the deputy president, or in future, he might be the president. Therefore, Miriam, the people of Kenya will have to decide. But Miriam, as where we are now, I feel the document is good. They tried to include more changes, and that is good for our country, because we are looking for an inclusive country. We don't want to exclude anybody in this process. And I feel like this process, and even the deputy, the prime minister, the former prime minister and the president, they are proving to Kenyans that they did it in good faith. And that is why they are continuing to have even those kind of consensus to ensure that this country moves forward and nobody is felt sidelined, Miriam. But Miriam, it's unfortunately that Miriam, it reaches a point where you cannot force somebody to do what you want, because at the end of the day, they have their principles and they have what they support. And therefore, Kenyans will decide at the end of the day, because the country belongs to us. It is not a private entity for politicians.
All right, thank you. Daniel, I just realized I've not given you an opportunity for your final thoughts. Or do you think President Uhuru Kenyatta and Raila might take the second option, which is to withdraw the bill and then to look at it and then accommodate and then they reach a code and then they take it back? Or that train left the station a long time ago?
Miriam, the only time they had to do that was before the signature collection. And once they have started collecting the signatures, it's because they are collecting the signatures because whatever conclusion they have come upon, they feel that they are quite satisfactory, and they have factored in each and every individual who earlier on had some reservation about the document. And that is what happened when we gathered at Bomas of Kenya for the previous launch of the document before the signature collections. The deputy president, among other political players, raised their concerns about some of the views in the BBI report, recommendation in the BBI report, and therefore, before the signatures were launched, we have seen that the president and the entire team have satisfactorily addressed those particular issues. If it's not wholesomely, but at least 70%, you could say so. So to me, Miriam, I think as it is right now, the train has already left the station. There's no point of return. And perhaps those ones who have a very divergent views about these particular documents, whichever option that is remaining on their table is to face the proponents of the BBI on the ballots. And that is next year, June 21st. So to me, I think there is no point of return. And we shall square it out on the ballot in a referendum come 2021. So that is it. And I think there might not be any room for another consensus or maybe additional views to be added in the document. That is my take, Miriam.
All right, thank you so much. Daniel Vesunga from Nairobi, Jevan Karanja from Nanyuki, and of course, Douglas Kirimi from Meru. This has been the People's Court, and it's all systems go for constitutional amendments that have been proposed there on the BBI after the launch of the signature collection yesterday that was led by President Uhuru Kenyatta and his handshake partner, opposition leader Raila Odinga. This has been the People's Court. My name is Miriam Ogutu. Bye-bye for now.
Peace must be our goal and our guide. And all that we strive for as a human family, dignity and hope, progress and prosperity, depends on peace. But peace depends on us.